welcome to the channel. And today's video is a overview of the Transformers Rise of the Beasts Voyager class Optimus Prime. This figure apparently is so far only been spotted as of this recording here in Mexico. I got this at Walmart on my last toy hunt, which if you check the video from the last video that I posted before this, where I posted everything, the figure was nowhere to be seen. So last reports were that this figure was only being spotted here in Mexico. So I took a trip to Walmart earlier this week, and there it was. So here is a quick look at the figure, but here's also a quick look at the packaging. Right, so you have the Optimus there. I think most of us have already seen the packaging, but if not, there it is. Windowless package. It just comes in tied up in those paper ties. Here's the package from the side. There you see all of the languages for the size class, and then the 3D render there in the back. 20 steps, and then the other side, which is a continuation of the front image. Right. So obviously the figure comes in robot mode, but I have him here transformed because I was playing with them the other day, and I just haven't touched him since. So here he is. Compared to other figures, like the Earthrise or the Studio Series 38 from the Bumblebee movie, he is very small. I'll make some comparisons here in just a second, but here we can get a closer look here. As long as the camera, so there we go. Focuses. So not a lot of paint that we can see here. The shoulders are gray with red paint, so this is gray plastic. He's got pins for wheels instead of the plastic plugs, or whatever you want to call those. These actually should be out. Here's the back. So these are his feet. His feet are part of his rear end. That's about the only thing for this design that you know, doesn't look neat, right? Hopefully the Studio Series isn't just this version with more paint, but an actual you know, proper Voyager sized figure, and at the proper Voyager scale, and more paint, right? But all in all, I think the design is actually, I think, a lot neater than the Studio Series 38. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had a little sneezing fit. Actually, what I'm going to do is some size comparisons, and first, give me just 1 second, and I'm gonna pause again. Okay, so for the first size comparison, I'm going to compare him to the most recent of the Walmart Optimus Prime reissues of the G1. So just to get just so you can get an idea of the sizing on this guy. His truck mode is actually smaller than the G1 toy. We'll take a look in robot mode in just a second also. So there's the size relation to the G1. Also, just something that I just noticed. His wheels started to crack. The rubber on the wheels on the G1 on the figure have started to crack. So if you have this figure in your collection, I recommend you check them and see if the wheels on yours also started to crack. I've had this figure like 3 years or so. Anyway, so that's one comparison. Okay, up next here is the Earthrise Optimus Prime. He's also kind of the same size as the G1, right? But also there are some similarities with this, the way this toy transforms and this guy, though it borrows from a lot of figures actually. But it still retains that gap there in the back. That's the only thing that I'm hoping maybe the Studio Series can fix. There you go. That's the size difference with the size difference with the Earthrise. And here he is next to my customized Studio Series 38 Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. And again, you can see the considerable size difference of the figure. I think this guy is even bigger than the other figures by just a hair. So according to the live stream that the guys at the Transformers team from Hasbro that they had earlier this week, they said that it was the Studio Series for the Rise of the Beasts version is going to be a modified version of this guy, of the Studio Series 38, which I'm hoping they only borrow certain things, like maybe how the legs transform, as opposed to having this, right? Because I like how I'll show you the transformation on camera. I like how this part transforms, as opposed to this guy and all of his kibble that he has in robot mode, which I'll show with a comparison later. But you can see some of the cues that they took from this guy as well, like the side canisters first came from on this guy, then it was borrowed for the Earthrise, or the it was first the not the Earthrise, the what was the first part from the War for Cybertron? I forget. But the Siege. First the Siege figure, and then the Earthrise, and now they're using it on this guy. But yeah, there is the size comparison. So like I was saying, yeah, hopefully they take just some minor cues from this guy and then use more of the features on this guy for the transformation. I'm sorry, yeah, for the transformation for the Studio Series. So his transformation is not that it's only 20 steps, so it's not that hard. First we can start by tucking these in, right? And then we can start with the feet, which is pretty easy. You just remove the hitch. Oh, before I remove the transformation, let me bring in something real quick. So this is the trailer for the from the Earthrise figure, the Earthrise Optimus. So you can plug the trailer onto his hitch, but the trailer is on a slight incline that you can see. The front wheels, these back wheels, these front ones are floating up in the air. So I mean, you can adapt it, and maybe you put in like some spacers there in the back, you can keep it even, right? So he's like maybe a couple, like like a quarter of an inch, maybe less than I don't know, 2-3 millimeters off the air. So you can find a spacer because you can just you know, unscrew these, put in some like a plastic spacer in there, and then you can have this guy hauling the Prime's Earthrise trailer. Alright, so back to the transformation. You just undo the hitch, and then the feet, you just roll all of this completely around. These are going to form the fronts of Optimus' shin. Right, you can see right there. So that's the front of Optimus' shins, and then just straighten him out. And then that's pretty much all with the feet. From here, you want to undo the cat ears, right? And then the arms, you can see how they are tucked in the back. That's probably the most tricky part, and it's not that tricky. It's just, you know, when you think you can't force the fists in there and the forearms, they actually do go in there pretty cleanly. So from there, all you gotta do is just let's see, on tab. All right, you can just stick your finger in there and just untap from the inside. You can release them. There's a tab right there, so you can also release from the front, but I'd rather not. And then you just fold this to the back, fold this fist forward. Again, you can see how much cleaner this is in comparison to the well, I'll show you with the Studio Series. So you just typical Optimus Prime transformation, then move the arms forward. You then hinge this in and keep it like that. So this part of the shoulder is exposed. So again, you just move forward, and then using that double hinge, you just fold and then move forward like that. So now you have something like this. All right. Then you can untab these from there and out, and then you can hinge this down until it tabs. All of this is the rear of Optimus. So what you're gonna do is Hold on 1 second, let me raise the camera. So what you're gonna do is pretty much like the Studio series. You rotate at the top of the chest. Okay. So you're gonna have this is the front now. And like the Earthrise, you fold this backwards. There's a double hinge also here that you lift and then hinge again and tuck the wheels back like that. And finally, you are going to, how does the head work? Forget. How did this work? Give me 1 second. Okay, so you're gonna use your finger or your thumb and push forward. This is gonna lift. You can see, right? So this lifted up here, and you have Optimus's head right there. So you can use this as leverage to pull the head out, and you can see how once you push that up, it pulls out the chest windows into that angled position. Then you just close the tab. And we're pretty much done. You just give Optimus his gun. And there you have the Rise of the Beasts, Optimus Prime. Now, optional one for the windows. You saw how as I tucked and flipped this panel upwards, how those kicked out. You can tuck it back down like that. You can use this, right? So you can tuck it down just a little bit and close those windows again. The head is pretty much still, you know, it would take a lot of extra force to tuck that head low, but you can still tab it in position and keep the windows closed. If you like that, you know, more traditional G1 look, so you can have the windows separated or closed, right? And all you gotta do is just tuck that lower red tab underneath the black one, and that's it. Because you can see the two pegs from the clear blue sticking there on top, right? So you can do that, or again, just as you're transforming, kick it out. So that's optional. And because of the transformation, he has a nap crunch. So that's cool. And yeah, as far as the the back of his head is clear plastic, so to let in some light piping, but his eyes are painted. So I don't know why they gave him the light piping option if they were gonna paint his eyes blue. But they did. So so just to show you just quickly the range of the figure. So he has single jointed elbows, but they go over the 90, right? You can see how this part of the shoulders are open, so those is how that works. But you can also move the shoulder here at this hinge, up front and back, and up and down as well, right? So you can give them something like that. The wrists are on a ball peg, so you can twist those around, right? And of course, because of the transformation, they only tuck inwards. So the forearm kibble, as like I had said before, this is much cleaner, although I would prefer this folded down. So hopefully that's something they fix for the Studio Series. So he does have a waist turn, but it's very minimal, as it's only this part right here. All right, but he does still have that top twist. And then full range forward and backwards, well, almost full range. He does have these hip skirt flaps to get pretty good extension outwards, the full split, right? And the knees are much better knees than the Studio Series. You don't have that big, well, you still have a gap, but not as an ugly looking knee as the Studio Series. And the feet go up and down, up and back, and side to side. There is no rotation. So I really like him. He's a really neat figure. Tons of, for a customizer, tons of room to play with, right? As far as adding paint. So for more size comparisons, again, let's start with the G1 toy. So he's pretty much eye to eye with the G1 toy. Oh, embarrassed. The G1 still has the bigger gun though. I wonder if it'll fit sideways. I have the one with the longer peg for some other figure. Actually, because this one came with two. But anyway, there's that comparison. Here is the comparison with the Earthrise, and here this is where you start seeing that the size really being a big difference. This is a this is a leader figure, obviously, because of the trailer, but he is Voyager sized only. Let me raise the camera just a little bit. So he is supposed to be a commander class, leader class, but he is Voyager sized, and of course this is being promoted as a Voyager figure, Voyager sized, but clearly you can see the size difference. Now if Hasbro is gonna start messing with the scales again, and they're gonna start going smaller again, that's no good for the price that we're paying for these figures. The more we're starting to pay more and we're getting less, which is not cool. Just for comparison, here's the one figure that I just bought the other day. This is the Leo Prime, and he's about the same size as the Rise of the Beast Voyager, but he's also still way shorter than the Earthrise Optimus, right? So these two figures are in the same size scale, and this guy is supposed to be quote unquote the same size, but he's obviously bigger. Here's your here's a typical deluxe figure. So from the Studio Series, from the Bumblebee movie. So this is a little more accurate sizing comparison, supposedly, right? But this guy, I don't know what sizing Hasbro was using, if it's the newer or the older, right? So there you go. And another comparison Here is the Voyager again, quote unquote, Studio Series 86 Ironhide. So these are a lot more closer in relation how they should be versus this. Even though this guy is supposed to be a Voyager, he should be about as tall as Prime. Here he is about as tall as Prime, but they're different, from a different they're from different what's the word that I'm looking for? Sides of the franchise. You know what I mean. So this is supposed to be live action. This is animation, and this is just regular toy, right? So and here is the last comparison with the Studio Series 38 Optimus Prime. So here you can see a much cleaner looking figure here for the Rise of the Beast Optimus versus the old Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. A lot of kibble there for the figure and a much cleaner looking one for the Rise of the Beasts. So this is what I was saying earlier, that if they're gonna take some cues from this figure, or I'm sorry, if they're gonna use this figure as a basis to create the Studio Series version for the Rise of the Beasts Optimus, I hope they borrow more of this and less of this. All of this kibble on the arms, right? The legs are pretty clean, right? As opposed to this, which is also pretty clean, but the transformation in robot in alt mode is the one that suffers, right? But for the rest, from here on up, this is a much better looking figure than this. Like I said, the only thing that needs to be cleaned up here are these this flap here on his forearm, which hopefully just a simple tuck underneath will do. As opposed to this guy, he has a lot of this kibble going up in the forearm and then here on his sides and his back. So that's a lot of the stuff that I cleaned up when I did my customs of this guy. If you go back into my video history, you'll see the 3 customs that I did for this guy. But yeah, pretty much, let me see. There you go. Now you get so much bigger done. Also compared to this one. And again, a lot more cleaner, right? Much leaner. Although this guy doesn't have that bad of a backpack, right? But still, this is still much cleaner looking, right? Although all of this is pretty cool. So anyway, just some minor things that they could fix on this guy when doing the Voyager version, I think will make this guy a home run, I think. Right now, I would say the figure is a like an 8 or an 8.5. The size certainly is the major hindrance. But again, this is supposed to be the main line for the Rise of the Beasts figures. So I wasn't expecting this high of quality of figure for a main line, excuse me. I know I was expecting something a lot more simpler, right? Maybe something in the range of the Cyberverse figures or something like that. Not too complex but not so easy as well, or simple. So for that, I do commend him, because he does have a lot of detail there on his abs and, you know, his forearms. He does have all of that molded detail in there. So he gets high marks for that. But the size, and also, you know, for the price, you know, that's also a hindrance, I would say. But overall, the figure is pretty cool. You know, you can get you can get them in some really cool poses. Utilizing that ab crunch. Right, so yeah, I think the Studio Series can improve on this, but I hope they don't ruin it. So just fix some minor things, maybe cover up, add another flap here, just to cover the exposed shoulder there. But yeah, other than that, this guy's pretty cool. I may grab another one, or maybe a few if they're on, you know, I can get them on discount, rather than not pay full price. But if I can get them on discount, you know, I can do similar customs that I did on the Studio Series 38, you know, give them different color schemes, you know, and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot of potential for this guy. So there you go. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. And I'll check you guys out in the next one.